everybody and welcome back to Stampin Squirrels. So today I'm going to show you a card which is the double point card. Really super simple, but actually looks very effective. This is one that I made using the bird suite, the bird ballad suite, and I've put a little fastener in this one and it opens like this, and it's called the double point card because you can see there are 2 points here. Like so. Really effective. I love it. I was going to originally do this one, but then I decided that I was going to use a stamp set that I bought last year as part of a limited edition bundle, which is the Everything Rosy bundle. Absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to be doing this one, and I love these papers. They're just so beautiful. And currently Stampin' Up have got this bundle on clearance, and it's only now reduced to £40.70 for the whole bundle. It's absolutely beautiful. All the papers, there's I think there's 48 sheets of 6x6 paper, including copper foil. The stamp set, the dies, you get these beautiful ribbons as well, lots of punchies here, and this copper shimmer paint as well, and some little sort of copper dots. So everything is rosy. That's what we're going to be using. It comes, like I say, with the matching dies. It's a photopolymer set, and don't worry, I think you probably all know that anything red stains photopolymer. It doesn't make the product any less usable, just looks a little bit unsightly. So we're going to be using the dies and the stamp set. So for the sake of this particular card, we're going to be using the stamp set, the dies, and also we're going to be using these lovely stitched framelets. This actually came with the bird ballad suite. It's part of the whole suite, these framelets. So let's get started and let's talk about the dimensions of the card. So the card itself is really super simple. You just need a piece of cardstock for the base. This one is cut at 4 1/8 by 5 7/8. And so you've probably maybe seen me talk about this before. Here in the UK, our cardstock's a slightly different size. So therefore this is essentially a 1/4 piece of a piece of cardstock that you get from Stampin' Up. So you need your card base, then you need your piece of card that goes onto that, and this is cut at 4 inches by 5 3/4 inches. So I've put a piece of white card and I've cut that at 4 by 5 3/4 inches. And then the next thing that you need is you need 2 pieces of DSP. This is the sort of the lovely Night of Navy with the copper foil DSP that I've chosen to just show you the example with. And these 2 pieces of designer series paper are cut at 3 inches by 4 inches, and they are scored at 1 inch. So you need to score both of your pieces of designer series paper at 1 inch. Okay, so the first thing you do is you take your designer series paper, and it's been scored at 1 inch already, as I've already said. So take your bone folder and just score that down, not too hard because this is paper after all, and you don't want that to crease to the extent where the actual paper fibres break and you get a nasty little rip. And then what you're going to do is turn it on its side so your 1 inch fold is this way, and you're just going to take your corner and you're going to fold it down to the actual score line. Give that a light little burnish, then turn it the other way and fold that one down to the score line as well. And then what you'll find is that you've ended up with a nice point like that, and here's your 1 inch fold at the bottom. Okay, take that and give it a nice little burnish, and do exactly the same with your other piece. So you've got your 2 pieces then, 2 pieces like that, and you simply take your piece of white cardstock and you are going to stick this bit onto the end like so, and then this bit onto the end like so, and that's going to give you your double point. But before you do that, you need to think about your greeting. So when you're stamping your greeting, you just need to think about whether or not you want a greeting inside or whether you want just the greeting to be at the top. With this particular one, I've just popped a little glue dot just to keep that down, and I've put this greeting underneath. So as well as stamping the greeting on the front, do you want a greeting inside? And if you do, then you need to think about placement. So the best thing that you can probably do at this moment in time is decide what shape you're going to make this bit, which is going to keep your two flaps together, these two double points. How are you going to connect one point to the other? What shape are you going to use? You could use a rectangle or oval. It's entirely up to you. So I'm going to stamp once inside, and I'm going to get that pretty central between these 2 points, and then I'm going to stamp again on the spare cardstock so that I can cut this shape out with my die. So the colours that I'm going to be using are the colours that complement this particular whole bundle, and that is Melon Mambo and Night of Navy, and obviously it's got these lovely copper accents as well. So I'm going to stamp my greeting, which is going to go in the centre and be hidden by the flap, right in the middle. So I'm just going to get these into position so that I can just see where I need to put it. So it needs to be about here. Squirrels are wonderful, squirrels are wonderful, squirrels are wonderful. That's great. So that's that greeting in position. So I now can take that away and I can stamp on my spare piece of scrappy card the greeting that I'm going to cut out. I'm going to stamp that greeting with "It's time to celebrate all the lovely things in life, starting with you." So I just need to get that onto a block. I'm also going to be stamping that in Melon Mambo. Tricky little colour to use. Make sure you don't get your fingers anywhere near it because it's a stainer, everybody. Warning, alert, alert. It does like to get onto the tips of your fingers. So I'm just going to now use the dies and I'm going to cut that out. So I'm going to cut that out in the white, and then I'm going to use a piece of Night of Navy and I'm going to cut that one out. Okay, so I've cut those out now and I'm just going to put the whole card together, and then it's time to decorate, which is always the favourite part, of course. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pop a couple of dimensionals onto the back of this just to raise it up. Like that. Let's bring back our card base and of course the greeting that we've already done it into the centre. Now, the 2 points here, obviously if you didn't do anything about these would just pop open like this all the time. So I found that the best thing that you can do is actually glue these down, and unfortunately snail glue doesn't necessarily always keep them down. So there's a couple of options that you've got here. You can either use wet glue, so bring out Mr. Tombow. So that's one, and then the second one. And then let's just leave that off to dry. Okay, so they're nicely dried now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick these down to your base. So before you stick it down, don't stick it down to the back base. It needs to be stuck down to the inner white one before you stick it to the base. So turn it on its side. Again, you want to make sure you've got a nice strong adhesive on this one. You can use snail on this. Turn it round, do exactly the same to the other side. I just love that Night of Navy with the copper. It's just gorgeous, and then when you mix it with that Melon Mambo, really makes it pop. So you're going to turn it over, and then what we're going to do is we're going to stick that all down. There. So that's your card base. Now the next element is, of course, is that you need to stick this down, and I did this really simply just with dimensionals. So I turned it over. The best thing is to stick your dimensionals here. I want to make sure that I've got a really good tack, so I'm using 3, and then you need to make sure that's centered. So center it and stick that down. And then when it opens, you can't see the dimensionals and the flaps down. So the next thing we want to do is decorate it. Now, whichever greeting and stamp set you decide to do, you just need some flowers, some leaves, or anything that contrasts. So I'm going to be using quite a lot of Melon Mambo in my contrasting decoration because I think that will really make the copper and the navy really pop. And so I'm going to just go ahead now and stamp some flowers, etc. So using the Melon Mambo, I'm going to, I think I'm probably going to stamp one of these, one smaller one, some small leaves in Night of Navy. I think I have the big leaf. Maybe another small flower. There, and just to give that a little extra, I'm going to add these little navy dots in the centre. And this particular set also comes with a little centre for that big flower. I think it's important to point out that this doesn't fit perfectly, it's not supposed to. So just pop that in the centre, like that. So I think that's the decoration I'm going to use. I'm just going to cut those out now and then we'll come back to it. Alright, so I've cut those out. Now I have the dies, but I've also very easily fussy cutted these out before as well. So if you need to fussy cut them out, just take your time, and the usual rule, as I always say, applies. Move the card around the scissors, don't try and snip around, otherwise you get those horrible jaggy lines. So you've cut out all your flowers and all the bits and bobs that you want to decorate your double point card with, and then we're just going to glue them on. Some I'm going to glue on, some I'm going to just use a few dimensionals on, just to prop them up a bit, but here we go. So I'm probably going to start with this one, followed by this one, and then a pop of navy kind of here, and then this one and this one just here at the bottom. So let's glue this one down first. And then we're going to pop this one on the top. Now I want that to go above it, so that needs to have a dimensional just here. Look at that, it's perfect, I think. Note to self. So if I'm going to give you a little tip, here is my little tip. I stuck that leaf, and can you see that I put too much glue on it, and actually when this closes that is going to keep catching. Okay, so I've stuck that flower down, and now I just want to give that a little pop of navy just to make that stand out. So I'm going to put another dimensional on the back of that, and that can go like that on the card. So that's the top bit, and so the bottom bit, pretty simple. I want this to stick sort of here. A bit of glue there, and I'm just going to stick that underneath. That's it, like that. And then I fussy cutted this one out. I'm going to stick that on with a dimensional. There. So that's it, that's the double point card. Once you've got the hang of the point card, you can pretty much turn it into anything that you want. So that was my original one, this is the current one. In terms of closure, if I can give you a tip about closure, with this one I've popped a little glue dot just there. If you don't press it too hard, when it pops back up again, it doesn't actually take off the paper. With the original one that I did with the Bird Ballad Suite, here, I put like a double Velcro cap on it just to make it super secure. And you can also see that I've sponged everybody, sponging the corners and around the edges as well. So everyone, I hope you've really enjoyed the double point card. I've enjoyed demonstrating it to you. Please put back again and check out Stampin Squirrels videos, like and subscribe, we're uploading stuff all the time. Thanks for joining us today, and we hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.